And new today, Louisiana's Attorney General Liz Murrill has filed her opening brief defending the law mandating the postage of the Ten Commandments in all of Louisiana's publicly funded schools. In her brief, she details her arguments and reasoning as to why the law should be considered constitutional. In the document, she argues the Ten Commandments are entrenched in American tradition and culture, saying, quote, the Ten Commandments were a prominent part of American public education for almost 3 centuries. She says the law doesn't violate the First Amendment since it, quote, simply recognizes the historical significance that the Ten Commandments have as one of the foundations, of our legal system, end quote. She then also argues the lawsuit challenging the law is largely baseless since no display showing the Ten Commandments have been implemented as of yet. Now, Murrill released the following statement after filing her opening brief, saying, quote, as we have illustrated in our briefs, there are numerous ways for our schools to constitutionally implement the law, and this should not be controversial. As the Supreme Court has said, the commandments have historical significance as one of the foundations of our law.